Arden is taking down Sarah. Jin is getting finally the lifetime chance of his life, right? Obviously doing an album with Khalifa. And Khalifa is also getting the deal with Frank from Global. This and a lot more in the last review, unfortunately, of the 6th episode of Skylines at Netflix here at AfterBuzz TV in Los Angeles.
I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Yeah, hello everybody. Welcome back to the last review of the 6th episode of Skyline at Netflix here at AfterBuzz TV in Los Angeles. And I'm very happy that you also followed all the episodes with us because the last episode today is kind of summarizing all of the different situations that we had in the last episodes, right? But let's start from the very, very beginning because the first scene that we see is basically starting with the end scene of the last episode, which was really brutal, right? I mean, remember, we see Sarah going to the basement and is finally meeting Arden. And Arden, I'm always feeling like Arden is a different person when he's in the basement. In the basement, he's basically this brutal guy, this boss of this whole gang dealing with drugs in Frankfurt, and he really just wants to make money, right? He's a tough guy, and what is he doing? He's taking down Sarah on the floor, on the ground. He's stepping on her, and he's really threatening her. He's really telling her, hey, if you continue doing that, if you spying on me, I'm gonna kill you and your whole family. And that was a scenario where I feel like, oh my God, I feel like Sarah, she went too far. She definitely went too far. And I think Sarah didn't even realize what she did when she was starting the case, when she was working on it, on all the different episodes that we saw. She was continuously working on all these different scenarios to find out more information. And now, I always have to say, what comes around comes back around, right? Because she is now really in danger. And not just herself, the family, the daughter. And the daughter never did anything, but she's really in trouble. So what happened? Obviously, Sarah's family is leaving her. And that was really a scene where I felt very sorry for her because she was just trying to do the right thing at the end, right? But then she has to see her husband and daughter leaving. I feel like in this scenario is the best thing because Sarah feels to me like someone, she doesn't give up. She's never a person who would give up on anything. So I think she's still on that case and she really wants to find out, okay, what is the constellation between Khalifa, Arden, and Jin, obviously. So what is she doing? She goes back to the police office and she's talking to her boss. And her boss, first of all, is freaking out because she wanted her to be on this Albanian case, right? As we all remember, but Sarah didn't really do anything on that case. And the interesting thing is, I was thinking in this moment, in this scene, when she is standing right in front of her boss, I was like, she's out. That's it. She's never gonna work for the police again. They're just gonna make her leave the office or whatever. But as soon as she walks out of the office, the boss turns around and gives her the Arden case. And I was like, okay, that's very interesting. So she must have read the documents of Arden, and she did finally, right, as we find out. So now Sarah is really working on that case, and she's all in it, right? So what she does is, obviously, she's going back to the police station and is meeting Jin. And that was a scene which is a mind-blowing scenario for me because that's the first time, actually, that we see Jin and Sarah in one place, in one room, talking to each other. They all have the same kind of relationships in a way, but they never really found each other, which is almost like real life, right? Think about it. You go on Facebook and you have all these different people that you are connected to, and they also have friends that you don't know, but they all kind of know each other, which is very interesting. So this is the same scenario, and Jin obviously doesn't know what Sarah knows. So Sarah, as we know, is connected with Khalifa and Arden for so many years already. She started this rap gang back in the days, right? And now, at the end, she became a police officer and Khalifa became a famous rapper, you know, and now Jin is still questioning her. He's still thinking, oh my God, Sarah's just a police officer like her colleague, just asking me crazy question and just wants to get any information out of me, but I'm not gonna say anything. That's Jin's perspective, right? That's his position, totally understandable. But Sarah, I feel like, does a really great job because she's not really trying to be obvious and just telling him right away what her connection is to all these people, but she's trying to give him a feeling of, hey, I understand you. I know where you're coming from. I just want to understand how I can help you to help me at the end. And something really interesting happens, and we don't really find out what she's offering him, but she says that a couple of times. I'm not sure if you remember that or if you really noticed that, but she's saying something like, hey, I have an offer for you. I want to offer you something. And Jin was like, no, I'm not gonna take that offer. And she was like, just listen to me. And she probably told him what the offer is, but we as the audience, we never really hear about it, which is very interesting, which leads me to my thought that the story writers kind of leave that open for hopefully a second season, right? Because I would definitely like to have a second season. I don't know how you feel about it, let me know, but I definitely would like to have a second season. And I still want to find out what this offer is, because at the end of the day, what happens is Jin is back at the apartment of his sister. So he's sleeping, so that means they let him go because I guess they didn't really find out any information. He didn't really give anything out because he always wanted to talk to a lawyer, right, as we remember. But maybe maybe he accepted the offer, right? Maybe not, we don't know yet. But what happened is that Sarah is still on the case. So that's very valuable information. She's gonna move on, she's fighting to find out what's right, what's wrong, and is really trying to make it clear that she's on the right path here right now. And then out of a sudden, what happened to Jin was, for me, that's his chance, right? That's his lifetime chance, hopefully, because Jin got picked up by someone from Skyline Records and they bring him to the studio, and in the studio is Khalifa and Samir waiting for him and offering him finally his biggest chance, which is producing an album with Khalifa. I was so happy about it because I feel like, oh man, this guy was working so hard over the last episodes. He was really trying to make it work and making everyone understand, hey, I'm a producer, I know what I'm doing, and I'm one of the best. So give me that chance working with the best as well, which is Khalifa. I want to work with him, I want to produce his album, and now at the end they're going to offer it to him. So that's really also a great ending for me personally, because now I obviously want to see how does that turn out? How does the album sound like? What kind of beats is he doing, right? What kind of lyrics is Khalifa coming up with? Which is very interesting too, because talking about lyrics, what also happened in the last episodes was really interesting because I feel like Khalifa found his way back to his roots. So he understood, hey, I was rapping so much about all this gangster stuff all the time over the last couple of years, but that's not really me. I want to go back. I want to go write about my own story. I want to write about what I experienced, like personally. And he goes back writing lyrics while he's like driving to the interview to Berlin, as we see, and he's coming up with a great storytelling rap almost, right? The lyrics are amazing. I don't know. Let me tell you, I mean, I feel like this was really who he is. I felt that even. When he was rapping in front of Samir and he was giving him kind of an example about the lyrics, I was like, wow, that's beautiful. So let me know what you think about it. What did you feel when you were listening to the rap, to the new lyrics that he was coming up with? I felt like it was really dope. You know, I have to say dope because it was dope, right? So that was really interesting. So they go back to the studio. Khalifa is back on track. Samir's always in, you know. Samir's someone, I feel like he just wants to do it right. Samir is a guy, he has a lot of pride. You can tell, right? He has a lot of pride. He never wants to give up. But at the end of the day, he also realized, hey, I can't leave Khalifa alone. I'm still his best friend. We are partners. We are like best buddies for so many years. I come back to the studio and I help him no matter what. Even that Ardan is now back and is in the company too and has percentages. I'm on it. I'm gonna help you, my friend, right? Which is a great idea. And it's a great thing to see that friendship is still true between these two. But now, talking about Ardan and talking about percentages, which is still something that the story writers and no one really told us about. So we still don't know how many percentage Ardan was getting from Khalifa. Was it 51% as we discussed last time? Or was it just a 49%, which makes a huge difference, obviously, right? And then talking about these percentages is also the situation with Frank from Global. Remember, Global is this huge enterprise corporate company, and they were always thinking about to have a deal with Skyline Records, and Khalifa was always working on that, right? But then, out of a sudden, as we know, Ardan came back, so he got a little distracted, but they were still working on that deal. So we also have that scenario where Frank is checking out the studio, and he, for me personally, he was very impressed. He saw this one guy rapping in the studio, and he did a great job, so he gave applause, and he was like, yeah, that's great, I love it. So I was assuming, no question at all, that's a no-brainer. He definitely is going to sign a deal with Skyline Records. But then we see him in the office sitting with Khalifa and Ardan and all these people, and out of a sudden, Frank turns around like 180 and says, no, I'm not going to do it. And I was like, wow. I don't know how you felt about it, but I was like, that's interesting. I would have never expected that. And Khalifa is like also changing his complete attitude almost and is becoming a little more aggressive towards Frank, what he never did. because he was like a guy, hey, Frank is the big guy, he's the big fish that I want to be part of, obviously, because he's the main guy at Global, and Global is getting us as Skyline Records to the next level. So I'm going to be nice to this guy, right, obviously. But then when he realized that Frank was turning around on him, Khalifa also changed his attitude. And I was asking myself, okay, why did Frank turn around and didn't want to make a deal anymore? And then I just thought, hey, Arden is in the same room, and Arden, obviously, I mean, we know Arden. He's kind of a guy, would you really trust him? You know, tell me, would you really trust him? I'm not sure about that, because Arden is a guy, he can be nice probably, but from the outside, he always gives you kind of a feeling that he has something else in mind, right? He has always something in the back of his mind. Is he really about what he's saying? So I'm not sure if you could really trust him 100%, and maybe that's also what Frank felt when he was in the office, seeing that Khalifa out of a sudden is having kind of a partnership with his brother Arden. So that's something I'm not sure about. Let me know what you think. Why did Frank not sign the deal with Khalifa in the first place? I'm saying in the first place because surprisingly what we see, I mean not really surprising, we know when we see what's happening, but Frank is driving to Berlin even himself after the interview that Khalifa had with one of these like TV channels, and is going up with champagne bottles to Khalifa and Samir and is saying, hey, we're gonna have the deal now out of sudden. And I was like, okay, that was too fast. Why is that happening now, right? But then remember that one moment after we saw the office scene, we have that little scene, just 5 or 10 seconds where Arden is making a phone call. And we know what's happening if Arden makes a phone call, right? Oh yeah, nothing good. So what Arden obviously did, he was also threatening and forcing Frank to sign the deal with Global, which for me personally is very ironic in a way. This whole scenario is very ironic because think about that for a second. Khalifa was never really a fan of having Arden in his company and making him a partner. Never really. But he did it because he felt like this brotherhood, you know, he's my bro. He was always helping me, especially at the very beginning, but he was never really a fan. Now Arden kind of indirectly helped Khalifa getting the deal with Global. So in a way, Arden is still kind of helping Khalifa, even that Khalifa wasn't really believing in the whole relationship with him, right? So this is very ironic. So I'm also very interested in hopefully the second season, you know, to see how this constellation now between Khalifa, Arden, Frank, and Samir is going to turn out at the end. Especially knowing that Khalifa also wants to work on a new album with Jin now. Right? So all these different scenarios are very interesting. So I think they did a great job to also like putting them all together at the end so that we have kind of a summary of all the different sub-storylines that we had over the last episodes. And what I also wanted to mention, I don't want to forget him, but it's also our Mr. Deeds, the dad of Jin. I also feel like he deserves a little bit more storyline, hopefully in the second season. I want to see a little bit more because we know that he did a little bit kind of insider trading, right, which is illegal as we all know, but you know, happens probably. But I also want to see how that turns out for him because he is also kind of connected. Think about that for a second. He was connected to Mr. Cross, who got killed by Zilan, who's connected to Jin, and Jin now obviously is connected to Sarah, Arden, Khalifa, and everyone else. So I feel like Mr. Deeds also needs a little stronger storyline, hopefully in the next season, to be even more involved in the whole constellation between Skyline Records, Jin, and Sarah. So hopefully this is going to happen. This is my review. The last review, sadly, you know, I'm a little sad. It was really fun to watch this show. I hope you enjoyed it with me. Please leave your comments if you have any questions, feedback. That would be nice. I'm going to get back to you in German and English. That's it for now. I hope we're going to see each other again for the second season. Thank you so much for following me the whole time. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook. It's at Benjamin Schnau, SCHNAU, like the dog. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great evening and see you soon.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.